Hello, everyone. It's great to see you. We are going to talk about tech education, and just a quick raise of hands. Who here has studied coding or knows how to code? A little bit. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Well, then you've found your path into this coding world, and we're going to talk about why is it important to help people find it, and where do we stand right now in terms of tech representation? So why does tech education need reimagining? And we are going to challenge the very purpose of our presence here today by presenting you a few questions and data points that hopefully will bring the topic a bit closer to your heart. I'm sure you've seen this before. You probably heard that gender equity in the tech world is not necessarily at its best, but maybe you need a bit of a refreshment, and seeing that 16% of computer science graduates in Germany are female is a bit scary, no? Is it good? Is it outrageous? Outrageous, right? The even more outrageous element of that storyline is that number has dropped since 2022 from 18%. At the same time, 11% of those holding a CEO title in Germany are female. Another scary part is that computer science students seem to be dropping out before graduating, and it's 42% of those who actually start studying computer science never finish and never get their degree. Meanwhile, 55% of leaders worry that they won't have enough talent to fill tech roles. This is a lot of numbers, but they all bring us somewhere, and that is that we have a problem.
And I think, can you all hear me okay with the mic? Perfect, sweet. This is so funny to talk into like a room that's so crowded. So in short, we have a problem. That's also, I believe, nothing new. I sometimes feel like we've been talking about the same problems for the past 10 years. We're lacking the tech talent that we need to solve tomorrow's problems, given that tomorrow's society will be even more digital than today's. We have also been talking about the problem of unequal access to opportunity. So this is also nothing new. So I'm gonna keep it short. And what we're also experiencing is a mismatch between the skills that IT training institutions provide students and the next generation of software engineers with, and the needs that are there in society. That was just all the data that Magda has shown, basically recapped. And we don't want to dwell on the problem, but instead we want to talk about solutions. We want to focus on what could we do to bridge the gap in advanced coding education. And two things that we want to propose are focusing on skills rather than degrees. At the end of the day, a degree or your credential doesn't tell anything about the skills that you have. That's also almost half the companies that get surveyed by Bitkom say the people that they are presented with coming from the tech education sector, they don't bring the hands-on skills needed to excel. Also, accessibility, there seems to be a problem with tech education institutions, infrastructures not being accessible. Otherwise, we would see a different set of numbers. So, a couple of observations that build on these proposals. Let's focus first on accessibility. How can we make coding education more accessible? By providing free tech education. That's providing schools tech education that requires you to not bring like the financial support from your family is crucial to make it more accessible. Also, given the growing need of software talent, we need to find ways to make coding education more accessible by not requiring experience. Why do you have to have a high school diploma or Abitur or anything else to enter the tech world? Or why should you not be able to change easily from a career that may not be future-proof into coding? So we need to find ways to make it very low barrier, to provide very low barrier entry points. When we're looking at how few women and Flinter people enter the tech education sector and how even fewer of them graduate from tech education institutions, we seem to have a problem with flexibility. We need to find answers that make coding or learning how to code really flexible so that you can adjust it to your own life rather than the other way around. And also, a lot of the time, I don't know about you, like 10 years ago I did my Abitur, and learning in German high schools wasn't so much fun. It was very frontal, like there was one central instance kind of distributing knowledge, but like I rarely played games, had fun, also was thinking about how to stay engaged. That's on the accessibility side of things. And then what are the skills that we need to focus on in coding education, so to match tomorrow's needs to shape a digital society? Because what we want to avoid is just training graduates who know how to apply code or how to apply technology, but not how to actually shape it. So we need problem solvers, we need project owners, we need those that are ready to work and that also want to, sometimes get their hands dirty, hands-on in the code. We need those who may not, who have a high degree of autonomy. So you don't, you can't stay passive in order to keep up with the technological advancements, and you want to be plugged into latest tech trends, because what we've seen over the past years is how fast those technologies are changing. So summarizing, coding education can't only focus on the hard skills of things, but must also focus on the most important skill of all, and that is learning how to learn. And for that, 42, quick show of hands, who of you knows the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? So there's roughly two handful of people who get the reference. 42 is the answer to everything, to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything else. And in that humble tradition, we have ventured off to build a coding school in Berlin, and Magda is going to introduce you to 42 Berlin. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Joe. And 42 is definitely one of the answers. Those of you who raised your hands at the very beginning, you probably took different paths to learn how to code, right? Who studied at university here? Nice. Who learned what they are doing right now on YouTube? Who learned through a peer who taught them everything they know? Okay, so university is the winner. And right now, this slide that Joe presented a second ago is quite important, because those of us who went through university, we were given a lot of information, right? It was streamlined to our brains through theories we needed to memorize, teachers whom we needed to satisfy, ideas that we needed to copy and repeat. Especially in the coding world, but in many different realities right now, this is no longer such an important thing to have. We don't need to memorize. We shouldn't have to know how all theories work in order to be excellent creative coders. What we need to know is how to be better at Googling than ChatGPT, and maybe how to be best at actually learning new things, because they're popping up left and right. And this is why 42 is one of an answers to the tech issues of the world right now. 42 is not only the ultimate answer of everything from A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it's also a global movement. We are part of a network of schools that started in Paris in 2013. The second bullet point here is that we are one of the most rigorous software engineering education methods. This slide about gamification might have fooled you into believing that this is just a game. But actually, what 42 is known for in its origin country, France, is that it is even more difficult than studying computer science at a university. It's incredibly difficult. But because it's gamified, it keeps everyone on their toes. And today, 42 has over 50 campuses in 29 countries worldwide. Our school, the one that Joe and me were part of creating here in Berlin, is only 2 years old. We started at 2022. And unlike most of different education paths that are alternatives to university, we are completely free with no different asterisks. And the reason for that is that some of those companies you see here, those companies you see here are some of our partners who give us money to essentially develop this model further. Why do you think they do that? I would ask, had it not been for the headphone situation. But I'm going to guess your answers. Some of you might think that the reason for which they donate money to us is because they want to run away from taxes, or because they would like to buy talent from us, or because it's great for their PR. Or some of us might think that they are doing it because they are excellent philanthropists. And I would say it's a mixture of all of the above. But most of all of those companies and more are struggling from the same problems that 42 is there to face. Tech talent shortage and not enough diverse, well-skilled, collaborative talent.
Can I just have a quick word, like on this slide? If you know anyone who would like to join this group and who help us grow more independent of corporates, we are very open to also discussing this. Because I saw some like raised eyebrows when the logos were on the slide, and let's have a conversation.
And now let's talk about the concrete. How does this work? How does 42 free gamified peer-to-peer extravaganza look like in practice? There is no fixed timetable. There's no fixed timetable, which means that if you, just like me, suffer at 6 a.m. when someone is knocking to your door, you are safe because there's no appointments that you have to catch at any time. But also that means that you can come to our campus anytime during the day, because the campus itself is open 24/7. Peer learning means that you need to explain your project to a person sitting next to you or one of your peers. And you need to do that because the software we use to teach you demands you to have each of your projects evaluated by at least 2 students. You need to explain your mistakes, you need to explain your successes, and you need to accept failure, which I have a feeling those of you who are working in a tech company might have experienced people struggling with a lot, right? Talking about failures, none of us do it, but it's a big, big problem if people who are developing complicated code work are really afraid of facing them. And this is what this methodology is here to help with. And jumping to the second bullet point, it is project-based. It's very practical, which means that theory is not something you're stuck with. Now, very quickly, describing the curriculum or how does the structure of the program look like is a little bit more complicated, because what you are used to is high school, A-levels or Abitur, then university and work, right? We don't require any experience. You don't need to have an Abitur degree, which means that in order to check your skills, your hard skills and your soft skills, and whether you are a fit to be part of our community, we've created a program called PC. That's a 30-day program, an intense challenge that is checking one's ability to learn, not ability to code, because this is something that you learn during it, but whether you are able to stay driven and continue with the program. And then the core curriculum itself takes between 12 to 18 months in average. If you are an extremely fast, very devoted coder, I think the fastest anyone has ever done their core curriculum in was 7 months, but the average time is that. And after this part, you essentially have the skills required to start as a junior software engineer, but you can also jump into any of those roles. Why? Because we teach, and those of you who know how to code will understand how crazy it sounds. We teach C. It's everything you build during the core curriculum is built with C. And this is a low-level, very low-level coding language. And essentially, if you can code something in C, you can code it in anything you want. And it essentially allows you to learn all of the other languages very quickly and gives you this ability to be very comprehensive in your understanding of code. And then you can come back to us for an advanced curriculum where you specialize further. Now, I would like to wrap it up and bring us back to the beginning, where we were talking about only 16% of computer science graduates in Germany being female. I think all of us understand why, and this is just one minority group, right? One underrepresentation in the coding world, just one that is the easiest one to track. And it is a problem because the code is happening without us, and everything is being coded without representing majority of our population. And 42 has a gender split of 41% being identifying as Flinta, which essentially is a proof, since 42 curriculum is not an easy one. It's a very difficult one to complete. It is a proof that it's not about the topic. It's not the reason for that number being so low is not that the interest isn't there, or that the topic is just not somewhere within the scope of some parts of the society. It's simply about the approach. And now, Joe.
So our question to you would be, do you care to reimagine tech education with us? How do you relate? What resonates with you? When I saw those raised eyebrows, where are they coming from? I understand you have a question function, and you can just ask your questions, or you can also just raise your hand and I'll come with the mic to hear your question. If any, thank you for caring about reimagining tech education. Do you have any questions? Yeah. Maybe you can, I don't know how it works.
Wait.
You can talk in the mic.
I can.
Wait.
You need it.
Yeah. So you were saying about that your approach is different from university, like getting university degrees. And also your time frame is always 2 years. It looks like 2 years. So, in terms of speed of preparing, what do you see the difference? So basically, 2 years in the university and 1 or 2 years at your school. So how do you see the difference? How many people actually make it to the end, and how they feel different in terms of empowerment to place a role, actually, to find a job?
So maybe on the preparation side of things, that's the beauty of running through this at your own pace. If you have no prior knowledge in coding, but you also don't have the capacity to upfront prepare for months and months and months, then you will take a little longer in the first couple of projects, and that's perfectly fine. If you have prior knowledge, you will just like shoot through them, be a bit quicker, and that's also fine. As to how we're comparing to traditional university or other forms of training when it comes to dropout rates, we're way below the 42% that we have talked about up front. And that is because the PSEAN is a very good test to find out if this is for you. So like the people that decide for 42 after they have run through the PSEAN, they understand what they're getting themselves into, and so that naturally just like makes them stay longer. And what we're like in Berlin, we're now at a stage where the first couple of students have run through the curriculum, and they are landing jobs despite the fact that we're not offering a formal degree. And I myself, I don't know if Magda mentioned this because I can't hear, but I also work on the 42 Wolfsburg campus. And they started a year before Berlin, and we see that hundreds by now have graduated and have landed in the job market in internships, or also some if they have prior careers, right? Like they go into other tech jobs, but they will have landed in jobs even in a difficult economy.
Maybe just to quickly add to that, we are because your question was also how successful those people are later at work, and we've talked to a few graduates already who are incredibly quickly progressing in tech companies that they've landed their jobs in, but we've also talked to some that are struggling. And I think the fact that our program is so quick, it doesn't always mean that it can stand alone, right? If you're 19 and you graduate, you would graduate at 21 or 20, you're going to lack some experience to be able to work at a tech company immediately as a software engineer, right? But most of our students right now are career changers, people who are 27, 30, and would like to learn something new. And this is actually what the tech world needs the most right now, this ability to understand different topics, not just code, but also anything else that you might have experience in. So those are incredibly successful graduates.
We've got this figured out, huh?
Sounds very, very fascinating. You said they are learning C. Is it C or C++? I mean, is it really the low-level C? And teachers don't play a big role as far as I can see. So is this mostly self-taught or how does it work?
It's C. It's C for the 2/3 of your curriculum, and C++ and other languages for the last 1/3. For your final project, you're learning other languages. There are no teachers, but a software that has projects which you need to complete to progress. And essentially it looks like this. You sit down you have to be on campus with a bunch of other people. You get a complicated task to do, and in order to complete it, you're going to have to find a lot of information by yourself, talk to people around you to help you understand what needs to be done. And there's going to be people who are much better than you and who have just started. So you will be explaining things to them that you now know but they don't, which means that every time you explain something, you also learn, right? It's this communication. And once you're ready with your project, once you figured out a solution, built a game, developed a software of something, you submit your project, and for it to be successful and for you to pass to the next level, you will need 2 people to evaluate it. So 2 people who say, okay, I tested it, it runs smoothly, and our software also needs to accept it. So our software tests it, and evaluators test it as well. So that's in a nutshell how it works. There are different elements to it. There are also exams which you need to complete. There are rush projects which you need to complete. But this is the basics.
And why C? Especially those of you who understand a bit about code will be going, why the fuck C? Like, this is a tedious, cumbersome language to learn and is not widely employed in today's tech stacks. That is true. But it is an annoying and tedious language to learn, so you really master the fundamentals of code, and it gives you skills that are transferable onto easier languages. So our students run through this curriculum, C, C++. At later stages, it gets language agnostic, so we don't tell you what language to use. And then they have their internships and work on JavaScript or Python projects, and they can easily, or relatively speedily transfer those skills. I think we have time for one more question. Yeah.
Perhaps a little bit critical question about the financing and companies, because I saw 2 years before SAP for Volkswagen did a lot of effort in establishing this 42, and now I see also Carriot on the screen, so not going well. What is your view for the market, especially also with KI or AI, artificial intelligence and coding, and is the financing really secure, to be honest? May I ask this?
I mean, we're not taking this lightly because it puts like 400 students' existence at risk, right? So this is a critical factor for us, and we're currently, we're always working on diversifying the partner network, so to not be dependent too much on any one partner. And we have very close connections to industry, but also we're trying to establish more political support also for institutions like ours, because whenever there's a politician coming to 42, they're like, this is great, this is exactly what we need. And then we talk about funding and they're like, yeah, but you have no professors, so we can't fund you, right? So we're also trying to shift that narrative. In the meanwhile, we're talking to all types of companies to support our cause. What is really important is that, I think Magda mentioned this, like students who want to work for these corporations, they have a benefit by being exposed to them, but none of our students are forced to work for them in any capacity. They're radically free to choose their employer, and they also do. Like, if we tell them where to go, that's not going to work. It's a labor market in the end where demand meets supply. That maybe on the corporate side of things, maybe we can also bilaterally deep dive. On AI, it's like everybody's talking about software ate the world. Now AI is eating software. Do we still need coders tomorrow? And I think the role of AI is changing. The role of software engineers will radically change due to AI, and I think this is exactly what 42 prepares them for, because maybe you won't write your script or your code, and you will have all these snippets that are AI produced, but you will have to understand what those code snippets do, how to integrate them into more complex systems, how to prompt, and how to critically examine what is going on. And I think this is exactly what 42 teaches our students.